the goal today is to end up with an engine sat on that dock.
It'll probably be fine.
Not inside the boat.
Ah, I'm falling!
And just slowly remove the ability for Indy to move anywhere. This is boat yoga.
Lefty loosey, righty tighty.
I decided to get creative. Blowtorch.
Last time on Red Seas, we started our biggest boat refit ever as we moved into a marina to replace both our engines. Friends with dinghies helped us manoeuvre Indy until one of them fell overboard, and we got straight to work disassembling our steering system so that we could remove our generator. Now we're working on removing our engine and figuring out how to do that with just the two of us while we're still in the water in the middle of cyclone season here in Tahiti.
It is day 2. The weather has changed. It is now kind of overcast and rainy, which should be for the better because we got pretty badly sunburnt yesterday. It was an absolute scorcher. In fact, our cameras were overheating in like 10 minutes in the sunshine, filming anything. So we had to keep bringing them inside and trying to cool them down just to get anything on camera. But the plan for today is we are going to be attacking this engine bay, the starboard side. So since it's the one nearest the dock, it's the one we're going to start with. We are going to deplumb it, drain all the fluids that we can from it, and then we're going to have to figure out how to get it out. So the goal today is to end up with an engine sat on that dock, not inside the boat, and just slowly remove the ability for Indy to move anywhere.
First step, what are you doing?
I'm remembering, rarely, to turn off the power feed from the starter battery.
Oh, smart.
So yeah, this is something I knew I'd overlook at some point and zap ourselves. Basically, behind these wardrobes on both sides of the road, there's a little rotating switch and you can disengage the starter battery from everything.
So we don't electrocute ourselves?
Yeah. So now the engine bay just has lights and it doesn't have any feed from the starter, I think. At least we'll find out.
We've also repurposed our sunshade from yesterday into a rain shelter, but it doesn't actually cover the whole of the engine bay, so we get little drips coming in at the side. But hopefully we're going to be working kind of at the back of the engine bay for most of today, so fingers crossed it's not too much of a problem. So this is where the generator was. We took that out yesterday, and now we've got all of this space to actually access the engine. I'm going to be on this side trying to drain all of the coolant, and Ian is doing something over there. What are you doing?
It's just so oily and slippy in here. You have no choice but to kind of straddle parts of the engine to stop you sliding across the engine bay.
How many times are we going to like headbutt each other?
Yeah, I think that's a good chance. I can't wait to clean this space out properly and get it all shiny and ready for the new engine just to be in this glistening environment. But until then, I am labeling up all of the electrical connections, and then I'm going to start taking them all apart before I then start disassembling all of the plumbing. So raw water and oil feeds and fuel feeds, or not oil feeds, but fuel feeds and coolant and everything.
Okay, yes, labeling is the way that we're going to win this.
We need to remember, don't let me forget, to turn off the fuel supply at the tanks, because it's going to get messy.
That could be a crucial mistake.
It's going to happen, isn't it?
So the coolant is almost all drained. I just need to get this like extra reservoir tank off the back wall, which is always a little bit of a challenge to do without spilling everywhere. So I'm going to cut the cable ties that are holding it in place, and hopefully it comes off without just like coating the entire room.
That bodes well, doesn't it?
How are you getting on?
I've almost done all the dewiring and labeling of everything, and amazingly, I've known what most things are.
Oh, that's a very good
Honestly,
start.
wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
So there's been one or two I've had to label with, item question mark.
Oh, that's fine. An educated guess.
Educated, yes. So I'm just taking a mental log of where it roughly was on the engine, and then I'm going to be like, yeah, as long as there's something roughly in the same place to plug in later.
That's sort of the same shape.
This is probably the same thing.
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen? Okay, so you know Bikram yoga, that hot yoga? It isn't as attractive as it sounds. This is disgusting. What are you doing?
I suddenly just got really nervous. So we've opened up this inspection hatch here, And then to try and get more airflow, we've put a little fan in, but my hair is like pushing up against it. So
It's got a metal grill on it.
oh, it'll be fine then. What if I get scalped?
And I love the idea that we're doing a full engine extraction and the thing that scalped you was a 12-volt car fan.
I got it free and I didn't elbow you in the face.
Nice.
I need 2 hands and I can't put either of these
Have
things
2
down.
hands.
I'm falling.
Slow motion. It's all going wrong, but it's taking 23 minutes to do so.
I'm stuck. Both my knees are holding me from falling any further backwards onto the gearbox. Both hands are holding things that will spill if I put them down without carefully detangling. Oh, spilled. Detangling myself. So I was going to say, lucky you're in here with me, but you're doing absolutely nothing to help.
Frankly, I'm just laughing at you.
My toes are holding that. Now I'm going to bend over backwards and pour this in the funnel behind me. This is going, to be honest, exactly according to what everybody expected, isn't it?
I dropped my tape.
Here we go. Eek! She's doing it! And this, ladies and gentlemen, is how to drain coolant from a Yanmar engine.
Boat yoga. This is full of seawater.
All right.
There we go. There she goes. Oh, the engine's full of seawater. Yeah, that makes sense.
I can pour that out the door.
Thank you. And yeah, you can have a means of plugging this.
Okay. So as we start deplumbing everything, we're going to try and like stuff the holes so that any little drips don't fall out when we then start moving the engine. So I need to go and find something to stuff the holes with. And I just came out to get stuff and it is quite wild out here. There is just a little bit of a squall passing overhead and suddenly we're being blown off the dock. So I've just checked all the lines, doubled them up a little bit, and hopefully nothing happens because now we don't have either engine that works. This is the situation I don't like being in.
That's insane. Okay, so I was in the engine bay just cutting my hands off slowly. And you were outside running around putting extra lines out because of this big gust. And there's like a full-on blaze happening over there too. It's all happening at once. You've got a tornado, you've got fire. Where's the locusts?
I know. I'm just hoping the rain puts out the fire. Like maybe that'll help. There's a positive spin on a squall.
It's a really smoky fire though.
Yeah, you can see from here like that huge smoke cloud going up. I don't know which building it is. It's quite far away from here.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's in Papiete, like right in the corner.
Yeah, it could be in the town. We took a little break while we waited for the storm to pass, had some lunch, and everything is kind of calmed down again now. So we're going to jump back into the engine bay. We've only got a couple of jobs left, and then it is ready to try and lift this engine.
Can you imagine this engine bay without an engine in it? Like, it's going to look so naked. It's so nice.
Huge extra cabin.
Extra cabin. It's going to be so good when we, once it's clear, and we give it a proper clean-up. And then a sparkly blue engine is in here.
Yep, yep, yep.
I can't wait. It's going to be so good.
It's going to look so good.
This is boat yoga. I can undo a bolt using a ratchet from any angle.
Okay, so that is now loosened and we can remove it later. And then we have to try and get this out, which we don't think is going to come.
Yeah, so this has tripped me up. I honestly thought that we would just unscrew the screws to hold this guy to the floor, undo the hoses, and then lift it out. But the guys at Leopard thought about this, I think. I'm going to give them credit right now. It's kind of annoying credit though. It's a hose that comes in, and then because the generator lived in front of this, they had to fiberglass a platform for it to sit on. And so the exit of this box is actually a stainless steel pipe that runs all the way under the floor and runs up to here. So this is actually like one chimney. And I don't think I can wriggle that free. I think it's basically stuck there until somebody ankle grinds it off one day.
Yeah, so that actually doesn't give us the lovely kind of smooth diagonal path we thought we'd have for the engine. We're going to have to like lift it up and over this bit.
Literally going to have to lift it to the height of that platform.
Yeah.
And then out on a
Fun.
level.
All right.
So,
well, there's an extra challenge.
Well, what's life without challenge, eh? So I think all that's left is the coupling, which is the connection to the prop shaft.
The scary bit where we might drop the prop on the bottom of the sea.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we're going to try and undo, I think it's just 4 bolts on this coupling, and then presumably we need to slide the shaft out slightly. We do actually have 2 anodes
Yeah, weirdly.
on the prop shaft inside the boat, which basically serve no purpose whatsoever. But I think that they've just been put on there as like a stopper to stop the shaft accidentally falling out the boat when you do this. So yeah, hopefully that means that the worst won't happen. But it is an odd choice.
It's weird. So yeah, they're like shaft mount anodes, which would normally be in the water. The idea being that if there's any electrical stray charge anywhere, it can be sent down and basically they corrode instead of engines. So we have them. We have them on the end of the props. That's where they're supposed to be normally. But somebody just decided to put some on the inside for some obscure reason, along with a bike clip, which also has no real purpose.
Yes, it's doing absolutely nothing at all, but it looks lovely.
Wow, does it? I didn't bring a spanner. I need a 18 mil spanner.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right. Except it's raining now, so I'm getting soggy. 15 is the biggest we have.
So we never really explained what this is, but basically our prop shaft, which is where our propeller lives on the end of, when it comes up and meets the engine, it goes through this thing called a coupling, which is what I'm now undoing. And basically, it's a way to take a metal pole and attach it to a very high ratio gearbox. What we don't know yet is if our prop shaft is just a bar with a little sort of end cap on it, or if it's flared, kind of funnel shaped. So when we take this apart, we should be able to then see the end and work out how it's built.
So we know if it fits onto the new one.
Yeah, exactly that.
All right, this is what they call getting creative. We needed a 10 mil Allen key and it was just way too short and way too tight. So we're trying to use the emergency tiller as like an extension. It's like moving.
Don't know if I opened that nut or damaged the pipe.
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, so that's not gonna work. Any ideas, anybody?
Just trying to get that bolt out.
And then 5 more.
It didn't make a scary noise. Oh my goodness!
Oh, that's huge. Okay, I was convinced I'd snap the head off of that bolt.
Whew. I'm not going to rub it in, but after about 10 minutes of fighting with that, I just went, wait a minute. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. We're going the wrong way. Turning it the right way is definitely working in our favour.
It's an option, it's a possibility.
Yes, it's worth a try.
I mean, we're not going to rule it out. Let's just say that, okay?
But this might mean that the whole project is not stuck forever.
So I can definitely get this bolt out.
Okay, positive thinking, other side. It's going to work just as well. Sort of, it's trying. That's an odd noise.
It's not a good noise, is it?
Right.
I think we'll have to PB blast this one as well.
Yeah, okay. Full works.
Again, I'm using the gearbox to stop the prop being able to turn. So I can position it and then knock manually using the gear shifter until I can get this position where I want it. And then it can turn one way but not back. I'm trying to coax it.
Yeah, go like bit by bit.
Okay, so lucky for us, a friend of ours actually has a bit that might fit this for their impact driver. So we're going to try and get hold of that and see if just giving a railgun or an impact driver approach might just loosen it off, because it's kind of like repeatedly hammering the connection. However, I don't like to sit around, and while she's away, I decided to get creative. Blowtorch. All right, so I heated it until it was literally red hot, and I thought, yeah, that should work, because the idea being that the bolt might heat up faster than the bracket, and as a result, even just the expansion of the two metals kind of cracks the bond between the threads of the bolt and the bracket, the mount. But apparently not. And also we're now getting to that dangerous stage where we replaced our Allen key because we thought maybe a bigger, chunkier one would do the job. And now we're at the point where we might start stripping the head, which means that instead of it being hexagonal shaped, it'll end up being just a circle, which won't work very well for us. So I think the smart thing to do is to take a pause until Bernie gets back with that drill bit piece, and then we'll give that a go. And if not, we're on to the easy out option, which is kind of more destructive. Come out! Stupid bolt!
Not good news that I got back with the bit. We tried that, bit broke, tried fire didn't work. I really hope this is our rock bottom. I hope that this is the lowest kind of level that we need to sink to. I'm getting the angle grinder out. At least you're gonna look good while doing it. Oh dear, this is not going to plan.
Okay, let's do this. What's the worst that could happen?
So we're kind of in the desperate phase now where we're like, obviously angle grinding the head off that bolt is not a long-term solution and it is going to create another problem. But the short-term goal is to be able to lift the engine, and we don't need to undo that whole bolt. We just needed to get access to this other one to be able to get the engine out. And then we will fix that later on, which we may come to regret, but
we will.
I can see movement. Well, there's definitely been blood, there's definitely been sweat. I don't think we've had tears yet, but maybe we're close.
Well, I can make you cry.
Hey!
All right, we have 1, 3.
Oh my goodness, there's a gap! Look at that beautiful gap! Ah!
I think that means this engine can be lifted out. If I turn it this way, it doesn't allow it as much damage. Perfectly intact.
Oh, and fuel lines. Need to not forget those. Oh.
Do you realize there are yacht brokers and surveyors all over the world right now going, what? No, you don't just put that on and forget about it.
Oh, there's so many people doing that about every stage of this product.
Everybody is probably going, angle grinding your coupling? No, what are you doing? We don't know. We don't know what we're doing.
No, to be fair on that one, we were going, what are we doing? Okay, you don't need to tell us about that one.
So, the next stage in this wonderful wild adventure is to use our chain hoist through the base of what was a bed to lift the engine that is just down through that hatch. And we're not quite sure if it's going to fit. And if it doesn't fit, we thought it would line up nicely to the hatch above and we could maybe do it off the boom and straight down. But on second measurements, it doesn't quite line up. It might sort of, but not very well. So we're really hoping that somehow this will work to lift the engine up high enough to sort of rest it on the skis that we plan to build, and we'll take it from there.
So we're just going to measure the shortest distance the chain hoist can go and see if it's going to fit in here, because if it just meets the engine and can't actually lift it, then there's no point. So measuring tape at the ready. The space we have here is 43 centimeters to the top of the engine lift.
I reckon the chain hoist is about 35.
So we've got a whole 7 centimeters is the only distance we can lift it then.
Seems to be.
Well, that's a fun problem.
Okay. So you decided we're just going to go for it.
It was always going to be that plan anyway, wasn't it? Let's face it.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So basically, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and try and lift 350 kilograms of raw metal.
It'll probably be fine.
Should be fine. It'll probably float. Switch off gravity. That's what we'll do. We'll switch off gravity and it'll all be fine. Either way, we have 2 large lumps of wood that we're going to act as skids, kind of like big skis that we're going to drag the engine up using. The chain hoist is in position and it should fit.
Sort of fits. Yeah, we're just going to try it and then we'll know. So that's as much as the plan is. And then if it works, then we know how to do the other one.
And we can pretend that we always thought it was going to work. Yeah, we knew it would work.
Here we go. Very last job before we actually get to lifting is to undo the engine mounts. I'm really hoping that these bolts are less of a problem than the other bolts we've tackled today.
First one comes loose, that's good.
That's a very good start, 25% of the way there.
I think we need to reinvent adjustable spanners.
So that they work.
They have notches for size, because you don't need a 17 1/3 mil. So what makes me laugh is that we know there are some very very talented, mechanically minded people who watch Red Seas, like professional mechanics, for example.
We can only apologise profusely and multiple times over.
What you are seeing is our profuse apology and ineptitude playing out very, very slowly on screen. And I know you're going to comment and you're going to say, you know, you could have done that differently. And we probably could have if we'd known what we were doing. So I'm so sorry. This is, we are testimony to your profession. Everyone needs a good mechanic because otherwise you end up like this.
And the only consolation I can offer is that you're watching what I'm imagining will become about a 20-minute episode, and we are living it. And I can assure you, this has taken us a lot longer than 20 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, I need to work out which way the hoist needs to go.
That's going, you're lifting. That's the engine lifting.
I can feel it. It's reaching its potential.
Yeah, one more we should be there if we can do it. Yeah, I can get the skid in if I lift the front of the engine. All right, so the idea is that now the back of the engine is plenty high. We can get our skids in now, but the front of the engine, because the gearbox is still attached, it's actually going to lean. That's actually technically back. The gearbox end of the engine is still down. So we're going to try and use a ratchet strap to see if we can tilt the engine up enough, hopefully that we can get the skids in, and then we can take the strap off again and it should all just start to rest on these skids. And at the same time, we'll try and remove this exhaust hose. So fingers crossed this all works. It would be good if the wake would swell down a bit or steady down a bit.
I know, I keep hearing creaking from our fenders and being like, is that our hoist system?
I did watch the entire bed base, the ceiling in here, something went down.
Oh, that's creepy. Yeah, I can see from here the sort of, this wood has definitely got a bow in the middle now. You can see it bending down, but it's holding.
That's not gonna work. Squintness of the engine is strange.
Yeah, it shouldn't be touching anything now.
But it's definitely, one side is way up and the other side is still on the mount.
Could it just be down to the weight of it? Like the centre of gravity?
I think the balance, yeah, the centre of gravity's off. And lower it onto those skids and then deal with the other side. Take the weight off somewhere.
Yeah, that sounds good. Because then we might be able to use different lift points just to get the other side out.
That's the hold.
Here you go.
Good shot, thank you.
Well, it may have taken like 3 different attempts of kind of using different lift points on the engine. We do not have very much height clearance at all, but we have got the engine lifted off the engine mounts and suspended in free space. It's not quite high enough for what we need to get the skids in, so we've now reverted to taking the engine mounts away as well. And we're hoping that that at least means we can lower it onto the skids and take the engine, the chain hoist away, and then we'll figure out how to move it forward. So it's slow progress, but I'm going to call it progress. And so far, the bolts have not seized.
No, I sheared the head off one.
Oh, okay. Well, that's to be expected.
Good news is the Nanni engines don't use these horribly big, chunky, very inefficient engine mounts. So we don't actually need these mounts in situ, which is nice.
Good.
The mounts that it comes with are a bit more ornate. They're well thought out and they're a lot smaller, so I'm hoping that it'll be a straightforward installation for new mounts, not having to use the old holes.
Yeah. All right, so that should now fit in underneath.
So maybe we'll put a little bolt in to hold it in place.
Yeah.
Take a look.
And just before we get too carried away, we've had 2 different sizes of bolts so far, and we're on to a 3rd. So we're like pretty much using the whole toolbox today just to get the engine mounts up.
Today has been one of those ups and downs days, mostly challenging downs, to be honest. I think we're on to plan J.
We should have kept count. That would have been interesting, or just completely demoralizing.
I feel more in the second camp right now, but we were kind of at this stumping point where the skids weren't lining up the way we want them to be. The engine's kind of hanging kind of funny. We don't know why that is. I'm losing more and more of my epidermis every time I touch anything. And so Brownie has decided to have a look. And of course, the second you jump in the engine bay,
well, it's about to get deadly serious. I was having a look under the shelf where the generator used to sit, and the big is it a muffler box? Like the
basically,
big,
yeah, the wet exhaust muffler, the big silver
metal
tube
cylinder that we said, oh, that's stupid. It's all in one piece because it goes under the generator shaft.
Yeah.
turns out it's not. It's in two pieces and it's joined with a pipe underneath.
But where's the pipe joint?
So if we were to disconnect, I think you could reach in with a hand and it would be really fiddly and you'd cut yourself up and you could disconnect them. But then you can't get it out because the engine's in the way. So instead, we're going to go mega destruction. We are going to cut away the whole of the generator shelf, lift it out the way, and then the whole thing should lift vertically
straight out
and make
clear
space for the engine.
And then the skids will go in place correctly. The engine can be lowered onto the skids, and then we can start the whole second phase of this, which is actually getting the engine to the engine bay door.
Exactly.
So this is going to be it. We're going to destroy a little bit of Indy.
It just means we have to refiberglass it later, which I'm confident.
We have to. Why are you going to set to fiberglass? I'm useless at it.
Well, I'm also, if I do the destruction this time, maybe you get to do the creative bit later.
I'm still going to stick my hand to my face or something. It's not going to end well. All right, here we go. Make the first incision, Doctor.
She's been given power tools. I think it's just like one thin layer of fiberglass that we need to chop through. Ian has told me like 3 times, please don't cut through the hole.
Exactly, it's very close to the hole. So I was about to say, I'll go get the duct tape.
Yeah, that would be helpful, thank you. Everything is just completely blind. Can't tell what I'm doing at all.
Even with those goggles on.
Even with the Just basically, I cut from 2 ends and I've just done this. Oh, missed.
This is why I never want to give her any power tools. It's just, you just don't know what you're going to get. Still, she knows how to fiberglass. She'll fix it herself.
There's like a vertical here. I wonder if they've just put like some epoxy along the top, just for extra annoyance.
Have to hulk our way in and destroy it.
I finished cutting through all of the fiberglass and it turns out that they screwed it in place as well. So we've swapped over. Ian is now in the engine bay trying to cut through all of the screws. A massive squall came over at the same time, so I've sort of locked him in there to keep the rain out. And my goodness, this is making us work for it. And I just had a joyous ka-clunk of a shelf being let loose. So I need to find a 13mm spanner and we could be on to some form of success. Look at all of that space.
You know, it's going to stink.
Wow. Well done.
It's landed.
We have touchdown!
That was a mission.
Oh my goodness, look at that beauty on engine.
No, it's evil. I hate it.
Sitting
Kill it now.
beautifully on 2 big skis of wood, ready to come right out of the engine bay, just at a fingertips wiggle.
A fingertips wiggle? Is that an official measure?
It is now. That's what I'm hoping for the next pipe. But oh my goodness, it's so good to get to that stage, huh?
Yeah, that's a beast.
Not gonna lie, thought that we may be up till midnight trying to just stop this from swinging around, but it's down.
There's going to be a lot to do tomorrow, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely not quite at the end, but
it's further.
it's definitely further, and I wasn't sure how we were going to get to this stage, so that's good. Whew. And there's all this destruction to be able to get there.
Not talk about that. And a small storm. Nothing serious. Adjustable spanners suck beans.
Yeah, taking chunks out of your hands, but it is moving.